Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. You came back for a reason. Obviously, you love what we're doing here. We're doing a lot of great things. This video is really about mindset. What's going on before you ever even step into that Zoom meeting or that call with the business owner, right? Well, most accountants, it's all in the head, right? Not because of skill, not because you lack knowledge, and definitely not because you're bad people. You're all wonderful people. But you lose because you're trapped inside of your own head, right? They overthink. They fear rejection. They hesitate asking for money. They seek approval instead of authority. They emotionally react to every prospect. And the second you emotionally react in sales, what happens is you lose control. So today what I'm going to cover is Stoic mindset principles for sales, the Machiavellian strategy without manipulation, how elite closers remove emotion from selling, how to stop caring about rejection, how to sell accounting services with certainty, and how to become mentally dangerous in business, right? Now understand, this isn't about motivation, okay? It's psychological warfare against the weak salesperson, which is probably yourself, right? And you're stepping into that closer mindset. Remember, great firm owners are elite closers, right? So go ahead and write this down. Control what you can control, part one. And Marcus Aurelius, he says it best, right? You have power over your mind, now not outside events. So that sense alone can make you a lot of money. Most accountants try to control whether their prospect goes with their services, whether someone likes them, whether someone responds, whether they gave a whole beautiful presentation, someone's not getting back to them, right? The economy's switching up on you. Well, that's all wrong, actually. What you can control is your energy, your certainty, your follow-up, your posture, your skill, your discipline, your emotions. So if you can control those things, right, the second you stop trying to control outcomes, you become much calmer, more powerful, more dangerous in the sales conversation. Because you guys have to understand, desperate people repel money, right? And what does Stoicism teach us? Emotional neutral. How to become emotional neutral. All right? Emotionally neutral. That's what I want to be. All right? I don't want to be up, don't want to be too down. I want to be right in the middle. Okay? And that's how you have those even killed conversations. That's why when the prospect gets too amped up, you're able to stay down here and bring them back down. Because it is a transfer of emotion, right? And the prospect, listen, the prospect's saying, I need to think about it, should emotionally affect you the same way as let's do it. So I want that to sink in. They're saying I need to think about it. Guys, it's the same exact thing as let's do it. Why? Because your identity cannot be attached to outcomes, right? Elite salespeople detach identity from rejection. Average salespeople hear no when elite salespeople hear not enough certainty transferred yet. Okay, so no doesn't mean no. It just means I might have to go a few more layers. Now, understanding that changes everything, all right? So it may remain the same, all right? I'm here for a reason, to close this deal so I can keep growing my firm. Write the next thing down. Why accountants struggle to sell? Why do you guys think you struggle to sell? I have the answer. I hope you know. Maybe you don't. Now you're about to know, right? Well, most accountants, most of you guys are very analytical and logical people, okay? But understand that humans are buying emotionally first. That means you can know their taxes, know their bookkeeping, the advisory, the QuickBooks, and still lose because knowledge without emotional transfer does not sell. All right? What they're buying is certainty, leadership, confidence, vision, emotional relief, belief in a better future. So if you sound uncertain about your own service, why in the heck would they trust you with their finances? Right? You have to become emotionally stable enough to lead, not beg, not hope, but lead them to the deal being closed. Show the value. All right? Now let's write this down. Machiavellian sales principles. So let's talk about Machiavelli for a second. Most people misunderstand Machiavelli. Machiavelli was not teaching evil. He was teaching reality. Okay? So one of the biggest lessons is people are driven by fear and desire. And that is sales. Okay? Not manipulation, but understanding. So your prospect, you have to understand, your prospect is motivated by fear of staying broke, fear of failing, fear of wasting time, fear of being stuck at a job. desire for freedom, desire for respect, desire for income, and they desire that peace of mind, right? Now what happens is the average salesperson, they're going to go and ignore those things and just get right to what they offer, when an elite salesperson is going to uncover those things and use them as ammunition to close the deal when the time is right. So what a horrible salesperson does is interested in bookkeeping, right? You know you're saying that. We want to make you elite. This is what you should be saying, okay? What would changing your income actually do for your family? What would having this business running like a well-oiled machine do for your peace of mind? See the difference? All right, so one talks about information and one accesses emotion, right? Emotion moves humans. So the more emotional I can make the conversation, the better. Logic justifies the decision later. So emotion moves humans, logic justifies the decision later. Part 4, write this down. Part 4, get out of your own head. Gosh darn it. Get out of it. All right? This is the section that changes lives. You need to write it down. You need to write it down. Get out of your own head. Get out of my own head. All right? You guys are thinking way too much during these calls. How do I know? Well, I listen to them daily. Okay? That's how I know. So you're analyzing yourself while you're speaking, and that's insane. How do I sound? What if they reject me? What if I say the wrong thing? What if they think I'm pushy? Well, that internal dialogue right there destroys presence. You cannot analyze yourself and connect deeply with another human simultaneously. Okay, so the solution is become obsessed with them instead of yourself. So if I'm obsessed with them, I can't be obsessed with myself at the same time. My brain won't allow it, right? So focus entirely on their goals, their pain, their fears, their future, their family, their business vision. And that self-consciousness that you have will disappear when mission consciousness takes over. So when I'm on a mission, I'm not thinking about my well-being. I'm thinking about the goal, right? That's the mindset you operate at. So after hearing that, I hope that helps you understand why that the elite closers always feel calm when you're seeing them navigate it. If you ever saw me working a deal, you would see it, right? I'm not calm, I'm confident because I've done my job. I already know how I'm going to take this person down, right? So elite closers feel calm. They're not focused on themselves, but they're focused on helping someone make a decision. All right? I need you to write this down and then bold it, underline it, okay? Rejection is a test of identity. Rejection is a test of identity. Well, understand this, that most people take rejection personally. That is weakness. A prospect rejecting your offer does not mean that you have lower self-worth, that your services are bad. You're a failure. You aren't worthless. Your service is not bad, and you're not a failure. Okay? The certainty, what it means is the certainty transfer was incomplete. All right? That's really all that means. That's it. So you must stop emotionally collapsing after bad call, guys. You have bad calls, who cares? Get over it. Go to the next one. That's why you're paying for the darn leads. That's why you're doing all this outreach. So Stoicism teaches us that external events are neutral and that your interpretation creates suffering. A bad call is neutral. A ghosted lead is neutral. A hang-up is neutral. You assign meaning, right? Weak salespeople say, man, these leads suck, man. I'm paying for these leads, and they taught me how to do this free outreach, and it sucks. No, listen, you suck, okay? You should be asking yourself, how do I improve my communication? I think Jim Rohn says it. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. It's the same concept. So one bad call, what do? I go and study Nate's channel. It just is what it is until you're closing deals, right? I know how to close deals. That's why I'm teaching you the videos. You just got to watch them enough. So one blames and one adapts. Do you want to be the one that blames or you want to be the one that adapts? If you can adapt, you won't die. It's called evolution. Okay? Part 6, write it down. How to sell accounting services with authority. The number one reason that you can't offer additional services or bring on new clients or close more deals, because you undersell yourself, right? You're not just doing books understand what you're actually, like, you guys are talking in the way that's insane. That I'm doing the books for people, I'm doing the taxes for people, and that is what you're doing, but that's also not the way to communicate it, right? What you're doing is you're creating clarity, creating financial control, reducing stress, helping businesses survive, helping owners make decisions, increasing profitability, and then organizing chaos. So that is valuable. If you don't emotionally believe that, you will struggle asking for money. So confidence comes from conviction, and conviction comes from understanding the true value of what you do. A business owner drowning in numbers is emotionally exhausted. All right, now when you solve that, you become relief. You sell the transformation, not the tasks. Okay, I'll say it again. The goal to closing more deals, and I have a ton of number ones, so you'll probably always hear me say number one, or this is it, or this is that. But look, selling the transformation is the way, not the tasks, not what I can do for you. That's called info dumping. Okay, so they need to, if you can just tell stories about the future, look at it like that, that's a good way to do it, because people listen to stories better. All right, just to dumb it down at the core of a dummy, I can't make it any simpler than that, right? Is that they learn through stories. So when you talk about the future and you sell the transformation and the outcome, tell a story about 6 months from now, what it's going to be like working with you. Okay, they already know that you can record data. So there you go, right there. Part 7, darn it, write it down. Part 7, the Stoic sales routine. Here's how elite salespeople mentally prepare daily. For me, every day I ask, what can I control today? And I know that the answer is this. I can control my energy. I can control the effort I put into my team, right? I can control dials. I can control skill, follow-up questions, and my emotional state. So that's your battlefield, right? Now, while you're actually doing your outreach and you're calling these business owners, it doesn't matter what you're selling. All my stuff is applicable to everything, right? But focus on curiosity, calmness, listening, leadership, emotional control, right? You never want to rush. I might be really high-paced and intense, and sometimes I sell that way, right? But not always, okay? I'm pretty much like a lamb when I'm in a deal. So you have to understand that the calmer the person, the more control they have. So I might be hoorah and coming at you crazy in these videos and loud, but that's part of teaching. I'm helping you learn. Okay? But in the sales call, more control. Okay, so after calls. What do you do after calls? Well, a few things, right? You don't want to emotionally react. Study the call objectively. Where did certainty drop? Where did emotion disappear? Did I uncover the real why? Did I future pace enough? Sell the outcome. Okay, the transformation. Did I ask enough open-ended questions? Did I detach emotionally and improve logically? So understand this. That you may want to explain your services a lot, but by asking what will this value provide for you and having them sell themselves, you'll probably get better results, all right? So the next thing is part 8. This is huge. The real reason people fail. Go ahead and write this down. The real reason people fail, right? What's the real reason? I want to know. Well, I'm going to tell you because I know. Listen, I love making these videos. I just talk crazy in them sometimes. But anyway, listen. People fail because they seek comfort over growth. All right? Stoics believe voluntary discomfort creates strength. What does that mean? Well, make the extra dial. Stay on the phone longer. Practice when you're tired. Train when you're unmotivated. Handle rejection repeatedly. Confidence is earned through repetition, not affirmations. You become fearless by facing fear repeatedly until your nervous system adapts. That's why really high talk time creates killers in sales. Okay? So, for me, I know, especially when I was new in sales, and I was putting up baby numbers, and I was on my way up to ridiculous numbers, and then training people to do ridiculous numbers monthly. One thing that I did every single day and continue to do is learn. Right? So even when I'm exhausted, I've worked out, I've worked all day, I'm still learning. Right? I'm still learning. So voluntary discomfort creates strength. I can't stress that enough. I just want to end on this, all right? That the goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to become emotionally disciplined, because sales is such a head game. It's crazy how much of a sales game or a head game that it can be. But Stoicism gives you emotional control. That Machiavelli gives you strategic awareness, right? And sales gives you financial freedom. So when you put them together, you become unstoppable. You stop begging for approval. You stop fearing rejection. You stop hesitating, asking for the money, right? And what you do is you start leading. Because understand that the market is going to reward killers and winners. Not nervousness, not overthinking, and not hesitation. The calmest mind in the room usually makes the most money. Okay, so remember this. A confused accountant survives, but a confident accountrepreneur will build an empire. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out our video or our courses over at Universal Accounting Center. Tax, bookkeeping, advisory, we've got it all.